This is NDTV and you are watching NDTV Prime.
It's a brand new episode of CNB Bazaar Buzz. I'm Siddharth Vinayak Patankar. Welcome to the program. Here is what we have lined up for you today. We review the new automatic Terrano from Nissan.
We adopted a completely new platform, as I mentioned that.
A very special conversation with the chief engineer of the new Toyota Fortuner. And the TVS Apache RTR 204V takes on the Himalayas. Right, so all of that is coming up. Let's start off then with the automatic Terrano from Nissan. It borrows its powertrain and of course that AMT gearbox from the Renault Duster. How has Nissan done with it? King Shuk Datta drove the car. Here's our review.
The Nissan Terrano could be called the Renault Duster's butcher-looking cousin, and although it has never done as well in terms of sales in India, it remains a good package. And now, Nissan has sweetened the deal a little and offered it with a diesel automatic or AMT gearbox.
In this world where traffic congestion is a norm rather than an exception, automotive manufacturers are trying their best to make city driving as comfortable as possible. The AMT or automated manual transmission is a step in that direction, and the Nissan Terrano is the latest car to join the AMT bandwagon.
The Nissan Terrano AMT remains exactly the same visually and equipment-wise. The compact SUV gets leather seats, a 2D in-car audio system with Bluetooth, USB, aux-in. Instead of a manual gear shift, the Terrano AMT gets the gear shifter with the markings of R for reverse, N for neutral and D for drive. And no, there is no P options for park, and it would be advisable to leave the car with the handbrake engaged when parked. The mechanicals of course remain the same as well. It is powered by a 1.5-litre DCI engine which produces 108.5 bhp of maximum power and 245 Nm of peak torque. The Terrano AMT has a claimed efficiency of 19.61 km per litre. The AMT unit is mated to the same 6-speed as the manual and does get an eco mode for when you want to be easier on the throttle.
While clutchless driving definitely makes life a lot easier, one has to come to terms with the rubber band effect. In order for the AMT to shift up sequentially, one has to lift off the throttle. This results in slightly unpredictable power delivery and there's a lag as well. So you need to plan your overtakes well in time. The other miss that I could figure on this car was the lack of steering or collar mounted controls for audio and Bluetooth telephony. The AMT is offered in the top of the line Terrano, which is the XV. A car in this price bracket should have definitely had a convenience feature like this.
So from one SUV, let's go on to another one. The very successful Toyota Fortuner is back in its second generation avatar. The car was just launched a few days ago and the full review is on CNB this week. So something for you to look forward to there. But we had a chance to catch up with the chief engineer of the new Fortuner project, Hiroki Nakajima. Here's an excerpt from that chat. Very important day from the Indian automobile context today, and indeed for Toyota Kirloskar Motor, because it's the launch of the second generation of one of its most successful models of all time. The Fortuner is back and it's in an all-new avatar, and we're going to speak more about it with the man who's been responsible for that entire project, the chief engineer, Hiroki Nakajima. Good to see you, sir, and many thanks for speaking to us.
Thank you very much for your continued support, Toyota.
First things first, congratulations. The car, I just drove it, so I'm fresh from that experience. And of course, now it's been launched here in India. It's, like I said at the start, a very important model for us in India, but also very important for you at Toyota.
Yes, of course. This is the most important market for a Toyota Indian market. So as much as possible, we'd like to meet the customer expectation level. That's my vision.
The last Fortuner, of course, again, it came to India a little bit later than it had already been in Southeast Asia. So there was a lot of anticipation when it arrived. and it became an instant hit. It was a big success. Right till the time you phased it out, there was still a lot of demand for that car. Is that a lot of pressure to come back with a next generation when you already have such a successful model?
Yes, of course, that's right. So anyway, the customer expectation level is very high. So to meet their requirement, so we adopted a completely new platform, and we adopted a completely new design. So my concept is this vehicle is a true SUV with style and confidence.
You've mentioned that, of course, even in the video, like I said, I've seen where you've spoken about it. At what point in the development, take us back to the start. Where did you decide that when it comes to the styling, you will go in a very different direction? Because the last car, it had very typical SUV proportions. It was very sort of tough and butch looking. This one is definitely more upmarket. It's definitely got some very pretty elements. When did you decide to take that new route?
Yes, to be honest with you, we have many investigations on the market, and there are many customers willing to drive this vehicle and on road. Many women are willing to drive the SUV. So in the styling is the most important thing, particularly on the advanced image for the customer. This is a key concept. At the same time, as I mentioned, performance-wise, we don't want to compromise.
The last car, again, every time we saw an update, we saw some new features coming in, but now the customer is very demanding. So, when it comes to comfort as well as connectivity, they have lots of demands. How did you balance all that out?
Yes, of course, the connectivity of the other performance-wise is as much as possible to meet the customer requirement level. So, we Toyota has many lineups of the SUV, and not only Fortuner, but also, for example, the Rugged One, for example, the Land Cruiser Prado, the Land Cruiser 200. At the same time, we have the monocoque SUV, Militant. So anyway, customer preference point of view, anyway, they like to have a confidence. Obviously, we can provide those types of vehicles. At the same time, advanced key feature is the most important thing for the current generation customer. So as much as possible, we'd like to implement those type of the key technology to this vehicle.
It's good that you mentioned the two types of cars, the monocoque and the ladder frame. The last car, for all its popularity and all its attributes, the one thing that everybody always said was that it's too much like a typical SUV. It's got a lot of bulk, it has a little bit of body roll, and it's very bouncy, the ride. This car, I mean, literally the first time I drove it, I had to remind myself it's not monocoque. How did you achieve that stiffness?
So we adopted a completely new platform, as I mentioned that. Anyway, we decided to change the cross-section size of the side rail of the frame ladder. So automatically, we can get the higher rigidity, particularly on the bending rigidity. And that's very easy to absorb, particularly on the higher frequencies vibration. In that sense, we can get automatically high rigidity, at the same time, higher quality level of the NVH. And this is the key concept of the new platform.
A lot of premium brands have made the transition by saying, forget about ladder frame, we'll go just with monocoque even for the larger cars. But at Toyota or even some of the other Japanese manufacturers, we are still seeing a lot of these very traditional models still coming out. Is that because you have both kinds of customer demands? Do you think there's a big reason why you should continue to do ladder frame?
Yeah, of course, as you mentioned, we have the two types of vehicle. One is a monocoque, one is a body and frame structure. So anyway, if the customer would like to have a confidence, particularly on the off-road capability, also we can provide the body and frame structure vehicle, because very easy to absorb the road input, and very easy to get higher quality, durability, reliability. This is our heritage of the Toyota's vehicle, I believe. So in that sense, as much as possible, we'd like to meet the customer expectation level, particularly on the off-road capability. If the customer doesn't care about the off-road capability, of course we can provide the monocoque body. Anyway, we Toyota provide the vehicle, all people globally. This is our job.
Now, one last thing, Nakajima-san, that I'd like your perspective on. IMV as a project has been very successful, of course, for Toyota. With the last generation, we already saw that. But when you were doing the new generation, both the Innova, this car, the Hilux, what was the big approach that was different from the last generation?
So, as you mentioned, for example, the Fortuner, so how to differentiate the style of design for pickup Hilux? So a previous model is, for example, the frontal mask is a very similar design. For example, the instrumental panel is very similar, but customer willing to buy the SUV as an SUV. So in that sense, how to differentiate the style design, not only exterior but also interior. This is the key point. But commonization parts level or commonization parts ratio is completely same as previous model. However, thanks to our style designers' effort, successfully we can differentiate the style design. For example, a hood panel and the front windshield side or a side door panel is completely same as Hilux. Customer doesn't recognize. I believe.
You can't see it, yeah.
I believe.
You can't see it. And of course, in India, we don't have the Hilux. But
Yeah.
but I understand that for the other markets, you have to take this into account. So lastly, then, are you happy with the success? I mean, I know that like you mentioned, you have a couple of more markets to take this car to.
No. So we don't want to compromise because of the. I believe the customer additional expectation level is been coming here after the launch of this vehicle. So as much as possible, we'd like to hear and investigate the customer voice, and we'd like to continuously effort to improvement. That's small, that's okay. But daily improvement is the most important thing for us to meet the future customer smile.
Well, I think you've already done a great job with it. The package is good. The prices today have been announced. They're pretty competitive as well. And I congratulate you and your team.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you.
And thank you for your time today as well.
Thank you very much.
Good to meet you. Let's take a very short break here on CNB Bazaar Buzz. I'll come back and answer some of your queries.